She was the woman I thought I'd grow old with. From the moment I met Sarah at a wedding 8 years ago, everything about her felt like home. She wasn't just beautiful, she was sharp, ambitious, confident. When she laughed, rooms felt lighter. When she looked at me, I felt seen. We built our life slowly, deliberately. We didn't rush anything. 2 years of dating, then engagement, then marriage. We shared rent, debt, dreams. I supported her through grad school, taking a job I didn't love just to stay close while she built her career. I believed that kind of partnership mattered. That sacrifices in love meant strength. For years, things were good. Not perfect, but solid. We argued, like all couples do, but we made up quickly. She always said I was her anchor. But about a year ago, something changed. It wasn't loud or sudden. It was quiet. It crept in slowly. A missed dinner here, a late-night gym session there. She was working late more often. Started taking weekend classes she didn't talk much about. And I noticed, but I didn't question. I thought doubting her meant disrespecting the trust we had. I told myself it was just a phase. Everyone hits rough patches. Still, there were moments that didn't sit right. Her phone, which was once left anywhere, was now always face down. Passwords changed. A new perfume she didn't wear around me. I remember once asking her if she was okay, and she smiled and said, "Why wouldn't I be?" I didn't push. I convinced myself it was nothing. That she just needed space. That's what love does, right? It gives room. Then one night, I found a receipt in her coat pocket. A 2-person dinner at a rooftop restaurant. A place I'd mentioned taking her to, but never had. I stared at the date. It was a Wednesday. She'd told me she was working late that day. I sat on the couch holding that receipt like it was on fire. But I still told myself there could be a good reason. Maybe it was a client dinner. Maybe she went with a friend. Maybe I was just being paranoid, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and after that, I started noticing more. Her laughter at texts she never shared. How quickly she'd pull her phone away if I got near it. One night, she came home past midnight, claiming her phone had died and her car had a flat. I offered to help. She said a coworker had already handled it. She looked tired. But not the kind of tired that comes from a bad night, the kind that comes from pretending all day. I didn't say anything. I lay beside her that night, staring at the ceiling while she drifted to sleep. My body next to hers, but my mind miles away. That night, something inside me started to crack. I thought about everything I'd done to make this marriage work. Every compromise, every promise, every late-night talk to keep us aligned. And now, I felt like I was talking to a ghost. She was there, but she wasn't. She kissed me goodbye in the mornings, but it felt rehearsed. She smiled at dinner, but her eyes never settled on mine for too long. I started avoiding her, not out of anger, but self-preservation. I needed space to think. I started coming home later, taking solo walks, replaying conversations in my head, wondering where things went wrong. Was I too boring? Too predictable? Had I become invisible to the person I loved most? I told no one, not family, not mutual friends. Only one person, Farah, an old friend from university. We'd always stayed in touch, nothing romantic, just solid friendship. I met her for coffee and told her that something felt off. I didn't go into detail. She listened quietly, then said, "Sometimes, the silence between two people is louder than any fight." That line stuck with me, but even then, I didn't want to believe the worst. I still love Sarah. I still wanted to believe she loved me. I clung to the idea that this was just a rough chapter. That it would pass. That the woman who once held my hand in the rain would come back to me. I was wrong. But at the time, I wasn't ready to see it. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who checks his wife's phone, but one night, after she fell asleep unusually fast, I stared at her silent device on the nightstand and knew I couldn't lie to myself any longer. It wasn't curiosity, it was survival. I didn't try to guess passwords. I didn't snoop through messages. I'd already prepared. Days earlier, I had installed a simple tracker app, not to spy, but to confirm what my gut had been screaming. The moment it showed her location at a boutique hotel in the middle of a workday, my heart stopped. She had told me she was at a team meeting across town. I didn't call her. I didn't rage. I just watched. She walked in confidently, wearing the same dress she left home in that morning. She wasn't alone. With her was a younger man, maybe mid-20s. Toned, stylish, carefree. The kind of guy who probably never had to worry about bills, commitment, or the weight of a mortgage. They moved like they'd done it before. No awkwardness. No hesitation. Just familiarity. That familiarity was the dagger. It meant this wasn't new. I sat in my car, staring at the screen, numb. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept replaying everything. Her smile, her excuses, the late-night gym sessions. All of it suddenly made sense. Every little lie she told sounded different now. Like echoes of a truth I had refused to hear. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Farah. I needed space to absorb what I'd just witnessed. I went home and acted like everything was normal. I asked her how work was. She said exhausting. She kissed me and said she was going to take a shower. I watched her walk away, and for the first time, I didn't feel anything. Over the next few days, I became a ghost in my own life. I still went to work. Still paid bills. But inside, I was somewhere else. I kept gathering proof, not because I wanted revenge then, but because I knew I needed the truth. Screenshots of messages from a synced backup, tagged photos he didn't hide well, receipts tucked in bags. The man's name was Zane. A gym trainer, part-time model, full-time leech from what I could tell. I checked his social media, selfies in expensive places, designer clothes, constant posts about hustle and manifesting. It was all fake confidence and borrowed lifestyle. And Sarah was part of that illusion. One day, I saw a message she sent him. With you, I feel young again. Like I can breathe. That broke me more than anything. It wasn't just sex. It was emotional. She felt something for him. Something she no longer felt for me. And she never told me she felt suffocated. She never said she was drowning. She just swam toward someone else and left me to sink without warning. I studied Zane's habits like a puzzle. His routine, the gyms he rotated between, the bars he frequented. I saw how he bragged about women, money, future businesses. I saw Sarah commenting on his posts with fire emojis, heart eyes, inside jokes I couldn't understand. She wasn't hiding anymore. She just assumed I wouldn't notice. Or worse, that I didn't care enough to look. The hardest part was lying beside her at night, knowing everything and pretending I didn't. Listening to her stories, her fake work problems, her forced affection. She wasn't even trying to be careful anymore. She thought she had me wrapped. She thought I was too passive, too decent, too loyal to ever imagine she'd betray me. And maybe I was, but something changed in me. Not out of rage, but out of clarity. I realized the man she betrayed wasn't weak. He was trusting. He believed in love. He believed in her. And she didn't just break a promise. She disrespected every version of me that had tried to make this marriage work. She didn't just cheat on a husband. She destroyed a friend, a protector, a believer. And that realization didn't turn me into a victim. It turned me into someone who couldn't be fooled again. I made a silent vow that night. I wasn't going to confront her with tears or shouting. She didn't deserve the dignity of drama. I would wait, and I would make sure that the pain she caused me returned to her, not all at once, but in waves she never saw coming. Because what she thought was her escape plan would become the wreckage she'd have to live in. And I would be nowhere near to save her. The night I decided to act, I felt nothing. No trembling hands, no storm in my chest. Just calm. Cold, focused calm. I started by opening a new bank account in my name only. No shared access. Over the next few weeks, I moved small amounts from our joint savings, enough not to raise alarms, but enough to matter later. I stopped contributing to our household budget. She never noticed. She was too busy making memories with someone else. I called Omar, a friend from work who owed me a favor. I gave him only what he needed to know and asked if he could dig into someone named Zane. What came back was everything I needed. Zane was broke. Living off handouts, chasing investors for a fake luxury car business, using women as connections. He had a criminal record sealed in another province: fraud, identity theft, tax evasion. The man was a walking red flag. I gathered it all: documents, screenshots, videos, voice notes, and filed for divorce quietly. Our prenup had a fault clause. Infidelity meant forfeiture of any claim to shared property or spousal support. I made sure the evidence was airtight. My lawyer smiled when he saw the folder and said, "She's not walking away with a dime." Then I started breaking Zane's world from the inside. One of his upcoming investors, someone he bragged about online, got an anonymous email with attachments detailing his criminal past and fake business credentials. That deal collapsed. 2 days later, a whistleblower tip was submitted to the tax department about undeclared income and suspicious financial behavior. I didn't have to frame him. I just showed them where to look. Within a week, Zane's account was flagged, his assets frozen, and his car business plans publicly exposed. Sarah didn't know any of this. She was too busy playing house with a man who was already sinking. Meanwhile, I changed the locks to our apartment and scheduled the delivery of divorce papers. She returned home one evening, confused why her key didn't work. I didn't open the door. I buzzed her in from the lobby like a guest. When she reached the door, I handed her a plain envelope. No drama. No shouting. Just 3 words: "It's over. Goodbye." Inside, she found divorce papers, a USB loaded with every proof of her betrayal, and a short note: "This was the life you chose. Live it without me." She tried to speak. I closed the door. That was the last time I saw her face to face. A week later, her world started unraveling. Her name appeared in the background of Zane's failed company documents. She wasn't legally liable, but the scandal stained her professional image. Clients stopped calling. Colleagues distanced themselves. She posted vague quotes on social media about regret, about being used, about lessons learned. I didn't care. I didn't even feel satisfaction. Just closure. I wasn't interested in seeing her fall. I just wanted to remove her from the position to ever hurt me again. And I did. Financially, emotionally, and legally. She lost the apartment, the car lease, the respect of our social circle. I made sure she walked away not just alone, but exposed. Every piece of her lie was dragged into daylight, not for public spectacle, but for her to face without the crutch of denial. I didn't tell Farah anything until it was all done. She listened quietly, then said, "You didn't burn bridges. You built exits." That line stuck with me. Zane, from what I heard, tried to recover his image but failed. The internet never forgets, and investors don't return to men with scandals. He blocked Sarah weeks later. She tried to reach me once, a long email filled with half apologies, twisted logic, and faint nostalgia. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She made her choices. I simply gave those choices their consequences. I didn't win by screaming. I won by being silent, strategic, and one step ahead. She thought she played me. But all she did was hand me every tool I needed to remove her, him, and the entire lie from my life with surgical precision. In the weeks that followed, I didn't feel victorious. I just felt empty. Not broken, not angry, just done. Sarah's attempts to reach out came in waves. Missed calls, emails, blocked messages. I ignored them all. She even showed up once at my old office, but I'd already moved on: new job, new space, no forwarding address. She was trying to hold on to the version of me she thought would always be there. But that man was gone, buried beneath everything she destroyed. I started focusing on myself. No dramatic reinvention, just steady discipline. Waking up early, eating better, spending time alone without guilt. It felt strange at first. Freedom always does when you've been tethered too long. I traveled a little, went silent on social media, built a routine that didn't involve her. For the first time in years, my life was quiet. Not lonely, just peaceful. Farah became a quiet presence during this time. She never overstepped, never pried. She just checked in when it mattered, and that meant more than any grand gesture. One day, over coffee, she said, "You don't owe anyone an explanation. You handled it like a man who knows his worth." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. Because she was right. For once, I didn't react emotionally. I calculated every step and followed through. No theatrics. No public breakdown. Just clarity. Sarah's life unraveled slowly. Zane had abandoned her, of course. Once the financial fallout hit and his name was dragged across every investor blacklist, he ghosted her. No more gym selfies, no more weekend trips. He vanished the moment things got real. She was left with nothing. No job, no partner, no property. Just memories of the fantasy she traded everything for. She underestimated what silence could do. She thought silence meant surrender. But in truth, silence was my sharpest weapon. I kept every lesson, every ignored instinct, every gut feeling I dismissed to protect a love that didn't deserve my loyalty. And I turned all of it into fuel. The man I became through this wasn't cold or bitter, he was clear-eyed. He knew his value and he didn't wait for validation. I didn't need revenge to feel powerful. I just needed to walk away with my dignity intact and let her sit in the silence she created. One night, I wrote a line in my journal. Just one. She taught me betrayal. I taught her accountability. That was the summary of everything. I didn't speak badly about her to anyone. I didn't need to. The truth handled that for me. People saw what happened without me ever raising my voice. That was the beauty of facts. They don't need decoration. The divorce was finalized without a court battle. She had no leverage, no claim to anything. Just a signature of a lawyer she couldn't afford and an outcome she couldn't change. I didn't celebrate. I didn't even attend the final hearing. My lawyer sent me a one-line text, "It's done." I stared at it for a minute, smiled faintly, and went back to my day. Time passed. I stopped checking her profiles. I stopped replaying moments in my head. I stopped trying to figure out why she did what she did. Some questions don't need answers. Some people aren't worth understanding. Not because they're evil, but because they were never real to begin with. Sarah had become a stranger long before I discovered the truth. I just refused to see it. I'm not haunted by what happened. I'm not guarded either. I still believe in love. I still believe in loyalty. I just believe in protecting peace more than proving points. If someone wants to leave, I'll hold the door. If someone wants to deceive, I won't argue. I'll observe, prepare, and exit quietly with everything they never expected me to carry: proof, patience, and a plan. I don't want her back. I don't want an apology. What I have now is better than closure, it's clarity. And sometimes, clarity is all the revenge you need.